All right, welcome back, everyone. Isyour6covered. We got X-Ring and myself. Should be having some fun tonight, and we might have a special guest if you can figure out what he's doing on the on the computer. So, hello. Let's see what we got out here. Technical difficulties, always technical difficulties. All right, first place we got Steve Healy, Carrie Emery, Andy Nelson, Andy Lau, Killadata, Talking Rock, the Shaggy Rocksman, Three Crowns, Big Country. And we have Thomas Rowland.
There he is.
There he is. He made it. All right, let's see. Thomas Rowland's out there. And who else is out there? Stratos 27. John Townley, Alaskan. Oh, he's gone again. It's like a damn ninja.
Jeez.
Mano018, Alaskan Ballistics. Sheball Secchi's out there. And the Outlaw, Josie Wells.
What is up, everyone?
And LR21. Welcome to the show. We should have some fun tonight. We'll see what happens. And we got some exciting news. I think it's exciting news. And
Keep kicking them off.
I don't know what's going on. Hopefully I have a special guest that you guys have seen out in the comments section. And this is something else. Okay, I gotta turn that off because we got a group chat going that's out of control. Jason Hunt, 45 Auto, and the famous Orson.
Orson has a good question.
All right,
Do I set my zero stop at 0 or at half mil below 0 so you have some adjustment? Do you leave the zero stop after it's set or reset zero stop every match?
That's a good question.
You
I
first.
leave right at half a mil. That way I can dial down if I need to. But for the most part, no. Once the zero stop's set, only thing you'll need to do when you get to the match is just confirm 0. What about you, Ray?
Okay, so it depends on the optic is the best answer because there are many optics, like some of your Steiners, some of your Vortexes, once you actually set 0 to be your 0, it will only allow you to go down about half a mil. Some of them will actually allow you to go down 2 mils, and then some of them you set for how far you want it to go down.
Okay.
I think on the Vortex Razor HD, I think it's half a mil.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, 5/10. So you don't have that choice. As far as the second part of his question, do you leave the zero stop set or reset the zero stop after every match?
Once the zero stop's set, it's set. As like if you have a 0 and you go to another match and it's still 0,
then you don't touch it.
then you don't touch it. If you go to the match and your 0's off 2/10 up and 2/10 right, say, I reset the turrets, but I end up with the same half mil I ended up with.
There you go. All right, there he is again. Let's see if he can stay in.
Can he stay? Let me put him in here before he gets lost into the world of YouTube. Mr. Josh, welcome to the show. Let's see if he can talk.
I don't know if he has any audio.
All right.
and
he's gone.
He's
All
out
right.
of here.
So that was his brief thing. We got a few more stragglers that showed up. We got Tim Davis, Mr. Joaquin Jack Nava's out there, Nancy Mink, Brian Marks, and I saw Sweeney out there somewhere. Where is Mr. Sweeney? Bill Sweeney, there he is.
What's on tap for tonight?
Sig Boys out there, TB, Dusty Rhodes, and the famous, or not so famous cameraman, Mr. John Kreiderman. What is going on?
So John asked, why do we have earplugs in our ears? And the reason is if you have a guest on, it will stop us getting the echo if we have these on. And if we can get Josh in here, that's why we have them on.
Yeah, that is the answer to that for sure. Yeah, if we didn't have Josh on here, I wouldn't be on StreamYard, and I would save my minutes up. Oh, we have the famous Joe Robinson and your pal Matt.
Look
and
at
Mr.
that.
Simon.
Your pal Matt. Oh, now he got scalped today.
So, let's tell this story while we're waiting for everybody to show up. What's up, Alaskan Ballistics? So, we're headed to work, and it was early. And Ray's like, let's swing over here and see if the barber's open. So he pulls in.
Now, I knew it was going to be open. I just didn't know if there was anybody there. And we pulled up. There was no one there. Perfect time.
I know why there was no one there.
No, that you have to wait to get into that place.
So I go, hell, I'll get a haircut too. I need a haircut. And I got every one of them cut. And I got them cut short.
I
Bam!
sit in the barber chair.
I gotta
look over
Look
at
at that.
Rick,
You can see my scalp right there.
and Rick's like, just a 3, flat top, and that's all he said. And I was like, oh, this is gonna turn out really well.
Damn it, he's gone and back again. Yeah, and then I'm sitting there, and you know how you can watch in the mirror? And then, like, his first one was through the middle. Yeah. I was like, oh, this game just got fun. So I just sat there quiet. What's up, John Simonelli? Nancy Meek. See? Nancy said you look 10 years younger. You do.
That's what everybody says.
Do I look any younger?
Well, I appreciate it.
Who has more gray hair now that we got haircuts?
I have more gray hair.
Come on, let's see.
That's experience right there.
That is madness right there. All right.
Anyway, enough of that.
Enough of that. Damn, Rick. Or skinnier Newt. Gotcha. Yeah. Somebody said I'm off the wagon. No, this is not really officially. See the tea bag in there? I'm just home brewing it, adding a little bit of sugar. Oh, you remember my score today, Ray? On the blood sugar?
85.
80. I thought it was 83. I don't know. It could have been 85. But it was super low. So this body is made for sugar. And I'm starving it of sugar at this point.
Rick looks older.
I look older. Dang. Whatever. It is what it is. Ray, you look like a human and not a woolly booga.
Straight razor, only way to go. Actually, they do straight razor your neck and everything.
Well said, TB. I got to agree. All right, so let's have some fun. First topic of the night.
My wife actually hates this hair. Hates it. Absolutely hates it.
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
It will grow back. Maybe, if you're lucky. If you're lucky.
To answer the one question about the Tri-Arc rifle and pistol systems, I have heard of them, but I've never used them. I don't know anything good or bad about them. So, no experience there. If anyone else has heard of Tri-Arc systems, check it out. Let us know.
News of the day is we just signed up for a match. And it is in Dukes of Hazzard, Kentucky. It's not Dukes of Hazzard. It's Hazzard, Kentucky. And that'll be on the
March the 7th.
March 7th. That's
which
right.
is a Sunday, and it is not in our L22X. It is the PRS Rimfire series.
Nice.
So we're looking forward to that one.
Oh, Matt, by the way, sign up for that. Unless you want to stay at home again while we're all having fun while you're sitting at home.
It's on a Sunday, so he has no excuse.
He'll find some excuse. See, we got him on that one. Yeah. Hey, Matt, Double Dog dare you to show up, buddy. What's up, Joe Robinson? Welcome, welcome. We're starting off slow tonight.
Yeah, because we were waiting on Josh, but apparently he's having
Josh,
technical difficulties. I think he said something was wrong with his connection.
3 Crowns is out there.
So I guess we will change gears here. I guess this is a good topic. What have you learned, I guess, now that you're working at Microtech and you're actually building knives? Didn't you just build your first knife?
I built my first knife. And for that video, everyone, there's people talking about it out there. It wasn't officially the first one I built. So when I say it was the first knife I built, it means it was the first model.
Okay, fair enough.
We built 125.
Okay, so
it was definitely not the first one that I made.
So you guys know that I kind of run MDI, which is Microtech Defense Industries. They have since decided that we could basically start. It's not another brand. It's the same brand. It's still going to be Microtech, but it would have a different division. And most of the knives that we'll be dealing with which Rick and Sam had never built knives before. I was very familiar with them, with the whole process and everything else. So we spent a couple days, working on inlays. Actually not a couple days, it was half a day. And we basically are going to build about 100 knives a week in addition to the normal Microtech inventory. They were trying to come up with a name for it. We don't know what it's going to be quite yet. There's been some things thrown around, but what you're going to see is it would be a change from the Signature series.
Correct.
So guys, if you aren't familiar with it, they will make a knife and it will be a production. Okay, so normal production series is not crazy expensive. But for the person that wanted to have something a little nicer, maybe the exact same knife, but with different hardware color, maybe like DLC instead of, Cerakote or something like that,
yeah,
or a different blade configuration, then that would be the Signature series. And then on up from that is where we're going to be. Right now we're kind of transitioning from Signature series, which will still stay, and then we'll have ours, and then you'll have the customs, which are uber expensive. So that's what you built, was that Scarab, and it was DLC. It's the Scarab 2, so this is what replaced the old Scarab that's been gone for a long time. But you made a couple comments when you started working on these knives. Do you remember what the first comment you made was when we were doing those inlays?
Yeah, it's now I know why you have to pay so much.
That's exactly what you said.
Why?
Because you don't realize how much time goes into these. So if you're breaking it down from a production standpoint, this is identical to the knife, pretty much, than the one that Rick reviewed. The only difference is this one actually has a partial serrated blade. That's the only way I carry a knife. And you'll notice it's DLC as opposed just to like a stone wash finish or something like that. But each one of those inlays that you see in there, we have to hand fit those. They come out of a press that we make, but we have to put them in, make sure everything's perfect. And the fastest you can do one side is 4 minutes. The other side, about 4 minutes. So by the time you transition from top cover to bottom cover, you're looking at 10 minutes for one person just to inlay one chassis before you even assemble it.
There's a lot of work involved. And it's not even what we're talking about right now. There's between raw metal, turning into a blade, going through all the processes, the heating process, I don't know all the stuff. There's a ton of crap. Then it goes through some other stuff. Then the chassis are built and blah, 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 so on and so on. This is all real people doing real stuff in order to make these knives. And then we finally get them. And then we spend a buttload of time building them, putting them together, making sure everything's good. And probably 3, 4, 5 times they get checked throughout the three of us. These are just these sections of knives. I'm not talking about, the production knives and the super custom stuff, but
Yeah, I honestly think this. I think people think that you can, like a pizza, throw a piece of metal into a machine and out pops the other side, which is a knife.
No.
Every piece, part, and component on this is going to be handled 10 to 15 times by easy. 10 to 15 different people at a minimum. And I don't think people realize what goes into it. You have a lot of people that say, well, why do they cost so much? And why can the Chinese make a clone for 30 seconds of the price?
Because they have a 11-year-old kid making $1 a day.
But it's not that. It's also the materials as well. Someone actually asked you what the blade...
I know, and I didn't know. I told them that I would answer that question.
Yeah, on this knife right here, there's only 3 steels that Microtech uses, and everything is made in the USA as far as the knife goes, with the exception of the steel. Most of the steel is going to be Bowler Elmax, which Bowler is a European company. Then you have M390. M as in Mary 390. They have very similar properties. And then you have the Carpenter Steel CTS 204P, which is almost identical. All 3 of those on any type of scale you look at are going to be almost identical. And that's one of the biggest things you're paying for.
Is the quality of steel being used?
Correct, and the quality of the aluminum. We do use American-sourced aluminum.
T-something.
T6.
T6.
Now, there is a 7000 series of aluminum that we might end up using in our line, but it's going to be a lower volume, lower quantity number from our division.
So we answered Joaquin's question. Why do they cost so much? There's a lot involved. So just on the end that I've seen so far, after we build that knife, the knife is dull when we get it. So then after it's built, it goes back, it gets papered, and then it gets sharpened, and then it gets, rechecked.
Actually, it gets cleaned first before it
CQ.
ever becomes unpapered. And literally, when we say papered, this is painter's tape on each individual one, so that no of the metal contaminants from sharpening get into the internal components of the knife itself. Just kind of think of at an oil change.
Yeah.
And from that point, it gets cleaned, QC'd, packaged, and then it goes out.
And then out it goes. There was a question out here by LR21. I don't know if you know the answer to this. He says he has a Scarab from 03. Was $500. Came with a sheath and tool.
Okay, so the Scarab 2 is considerably, and when I say considerably, it's considerably larger than the original Scarab. So much so, it's actually larger and wider than the Combat Troodon. Combat Troodon is a very, very popular knife. It's $400+ for the Combat Troodon. I think the MSRP, and all dealers have to adhere to MSRP pricing, on the Scarab 2, not in this configuration, but with like a stonewash blade, is $550, I think. Give me just a moment.
How many employees while you're looking at that up?
About 150.
150.
Ish.
There you go. Yeah.
Sorry, 511. 511.
That's the price, not the employees. Tyler Arth. How well do they keep an edge, and how well do they sharpen back up?
Okay, so now once again we are getting into blade steels, okay? And if you're not one of these guys that know a lot about metals, there's a huge difference in blade steel. If you're buying a knife for $80, you're not going to be getting what we call the super steels, which are the LMAX, the M390, the CTS 204P. You know, if you're getting something that has, a US 8 in it, or it's got D2 tool steel.
Yeah.
That's so far down on the line, guys, that there's actually a really good link, and I think it was put out by one of the Blade HQ, I think, had it. And it has a full range of what you're getting with the different steels. And when you get into these super steels, like the Bowlers and the Carpenter, it's going to be right up there at the very top. Now, that being said, there are different properties. Typically, where's the whiteboard of knowledge? Did you remove that?
I did. I put it over there. I'll grab it.
Okay. So, just to show you in a graph real quick, I'm going to make this really fast. I'm not going to make it too boring. It's normally right here, guys. But just to be a testament, and you guys have seen this before, especially in my videos, and Joaquin, this will kind of show you, it's like what makes them so expensive. This knife right here is the same knife, the Socom Elite Auto, that I've been carrying for now 21 years, okay? I have broken the tip once on it. I was actually prying into a car window, and going against glass like that is not good. And it's not a pry tool, it's a knife. But at the time I needed to use it for a pry tool. So 20 years, that's what that'll get you if you take care of it and don't lose it. The difference is this has Type 3 mil-spec hard coat on it. Most of the hard use knives that we have, and the guys, there's a huge difference between a aluminum chassis, a cast chassis, something that's what we call pot metal, but something that's billet CNC'd, and then you coat it with, let's say, Cerakote. That is not going to give you a hard of a shell around that aluminum, because aluminum itself is very soft. Cerakote works well. Another option that people do, and this will relegate into shooting stuff in just a moment. Let's think about ARs. What is an AR? An AR is just an aluminum upper and lower. And what do most of those have on them?
Some type of anodized.
No. See, this is why I want to kind of cover this. It's not anodizing. It's Type 3 mil-spec hard coat. Okay, hard coating is different. That's why we do this, is so people would know. I'm not trying to be a smartass, but I'm trying to educate people on it.
That's good.
So if I take a piece of raw aluminum, and it's just what they call in the green or in the white, and it has no coating on it, you could take a knife pretty easily and scratch it, okay, with a blade, because it's soft.
Yeah.
Now you take Hydro Dip like this, and you take a blade, you're going to scratch right through it. It doesn't last long. Now, before you say anything, if you take Cerakote and you coat that, and you do want to roughen up that surface so that Cerakote has something to adhere to. Now you've got better. What we're doing is we're going from softest, being raw, all the way to the hardest. So now we got that Cerakote. It's a good finish. It's pretty hard, lasts a while, but it will wear off. Okay, if you don't believe that, just Cerakote your upper one time, and after a couple of brass ejections on the deflector there, you're going to notice that it's going to start chipping away at the paint. Now you've got anodizing. Okay, now anodizing is pretty good. It's pretty solid. You know, you're going to dip it in a tank or however you're going to do it, but it's not going to be a Type 3 mil-spec hard coat, which literally puts like a shell around it. Now the issue, and we're not going to get into coating. We had Wayne, Rick had Wayne Hammer on here one night talking about it, but when you get into coating surfaces, now we're not even going to talk about vapor deposition, the PVDs or the DLC, the diamond light carbon coatings. But that's just adding more toughness to it. And you've got so many different scales of hardness when you get into titanium nitride coatings and all of these other the great coatings that are out there. So all of these knives like this are going to have the Type 3 mil-spec hard coat. That's why this is not rubbed off like anodizing would or any type of painted type surface. What you're seeing on the shiny part right there is where the knife has been dropped multiple times on the pavement, but it didn't just flake away. Okay, what I see a huge issue with is a guy wants to Cerakote his AR.
Yeah.
And then he takes it to his buddy who's got his little stove back there, and he takes it and he's like, all right, this is good, let's degrease it. They don't do anything else. They hit it with Cerakote and wonder why it doesn't stick. And the reason is you need to blast that, but you don't want to blast all of it off because you're actually going to make the whole surface softer. So you're just roughing up that Type 3 mil-spec hard coat that's on there, giving that Cerakote something to adhere to. So what you're paying for is all of those processes and all the super steels. So this is a 20-year-old Socom Elite. The original one had this craton insert. It's rubber. It's never come out. I've had it in the ocean. I have it everywhere. And that's just the light that you're seeing right there, guys. It's not even torn. Well, they came out with the Socom Elite now that Rick has, if you want to show them that. And they changed the texture here. When they read this before, they actually put skater style tape in it, and the problem is you put your hand in your pocket and now you have no skin on the top of your knuckle. So they did a rubberized surface, but that's the newer updated version. What you're going to notice differently is the pocket clip has changed. This was a 3-screw, yours has a 2-screw, mine has basically holes. And then you also notice I have no glass break. They added that years down the road. This is from 2000. And then there is a tungsten glass break right there. All of this stuff is machined in-house, and that's what takes so long.
A lot of work.
Lots and lots of work.
Lots of work.
I haven't even had a chance to look at the thing. Okay, so just real quick, and I'm just doing this off the top of my head. Don't hold me to it. But I think on that Blade HQ, what you're going to have is this being a center point. You might have like hardness. You might have durability. You might have... there's all these different things, and they'll show you little locations where you're getting one thing over the other. You know what? Just trying to do the whiteboard. I don't want to get that deep into it because it gets really deep. The thing is when you go to a really good hard steel that'll hold an edge, or a good steel, you got the right hardness and everything else, it becomes brittle. There's certain levels of embrittlement where you're trying to get this, but you're going to give up a little bit of that. It's always a give and take.
That's kind of like with AR500 targets. Like if you go to a different metal, bullets will go through it, but it doesn't crack or,
Well, AR500 will crack, and it's hard to weld, okay? If you have somebody trying to weld AR500 together, it's probably not a good target. You want that either plasma cut. Actually, the best is going to be water jet because you're not generating heat, and you don't want to mess up with that Burnell hardness on there. So, anyway, enough about that. There you go. He's just at corrosion resistance. The LMAXs and all those do really, really well under salt tests. Oh, do we have Josh?
Try it again. Let's see. And welcome.
Oh, he's gone.
Dang it. I know he's probably getting really frustrated too.
There are some great questions up there. Vanessa Kitty asked, does Microtech ever use titanium scales? And yes, they do. And even not so much in the full-on custom line. You will see it more in the custom line than anywhere else. However, in the past, like with, actually introduced Rick to an older knife that we used to make called an Anax, A-N-A-X.
I think it's cool.
And it is a full, it's a piece of titanium that's all machined out. There are no spacers in it or anything else. It's one solid chunk of titanium. And they started doing a production version of that in aluminum. But the original ones, they were considered customs. That's where you'll typically see the titanium.
And then the customs are amazing. They are works of art.
The other thing is we make each and every screw. So even though this looks like a standard T8, like Rick was talking about in the video, we machine each and every one of these on the Swiss lathe, as well as the glass breaker and all of that.
Most of the buttons, I could grab one, but are proprietary. You know what I mean?
They are.
You're not going to go to the store and find a screw set that will match per se.
Okay, so I'm going to make this real quick. And then we can get on with the show. One of the reasons that I'm on here tonight, you guys know that I have X-Ring Customs as the company. The problem is I can't keep anything in stock right now. As soon as I list it, it sells. You guys know that I've been working on bringing some knives to X-Ring Customs, but they're going to be things that I believe in. Whether somebody likes it or not or disagrees, in my opinion, my personal opinion, everybody's opinion differs, I believe a true work knife is going to have a partial serrated blade. Period. End of story for me. I won't have a plain edge blade. I have to cut through too many thick articles of webbing, clothing, things like that, where a plain edge, unless it is stupid razor sharp, and even so, you're going to have to saw at it, where one stroke with a partial serrated, which means half of it is serrated and the other half is not, it gives you the best of both worlds. If I need to peel an apple, I can do it on this side right here, and if I need to cut into webbing, I can do it right there on that side. So that's all I'm going to offer on my site are things that I truly believe in that work for me. It's kind of like my signature series, I guess. I don't know. And if you are interested, right now these are sold out across the country. They can't make them fast enough. So the Socom Elite is by far my favorite. Even though Microtech's heritage are the out the front knives, the problem with out the fronts is you get in a sandy or dusty environment, you are going to have malfunctions, okay? And if you are crawling in the sand, you get a pocket full of sand, your out the front will stop working. I think you actually did that on one of your videos. We poured some sand in it, and it gets in here, and until you can spray that out or get it out, these are very quick, very fast for one-handed operation, but this is not going to fail on you, okay? 99% of the time, you can be in sand, underwater, whatever. So this is what I'm going to be offering is the Microtech Socom Elite Auto.
But wait.
And on the back side, I've had laser etched on here X-Ring with the X-Ring Custom. I am not going to flood the market with these. These are actually going to be in very, very limited numbers. The price will be the same as it will be through any dealer without the etching. The problem is, I challenge you to try to find one of these right now. They are nowhere to be found. But we have dealers. Actually, it's an international company. I can't tell you how many dealers Microtech has, but it's just hard to find Socom Elite Autos. I just put 3 of them up on my website for sale. If you're interested, this is called, and don't ask, there are no pictures, so you need to see what you're getting here. It's brand new Socom Elite Auto with the X-Ring logo. It is the black with the two-tone blade. And think of this as Special Elite 1.
Special Elite 1.
Just remember that. Special Elite 1.
Is the first one we showed you.
All right. And then the very first knife I ever gave you when we first met was a LUDT, which was the Large Underwater Demolitions Team. Okay. It was actually...
I still have that knife.
Yeah, it's a very thin knife in comparison to the Socom. The Socom is a full, robust knife. This is about 9 inches long when it's deployed, and the blade is 4.04, 5.04 inches, something like that. The LUDT is a lot thinner. It carries a lot thinner in the pocket. And this one is all black. It is an auto as well.
Okay. Yeah, he says my local dealer has no, so I don't think there's a dealer anywhere that has one.
Okay, so same thing. LUDT, partial serrated, all black. Black hardware, black blade, black everything. And this does have the X-Ring logo on the blade as well. And that is lasered in there, guys.
45 Auto said they're already gone.
Are you serious? Holy crud. Guys, I listed these...
Xringcustoms.com, Andy is showing everybody. That's the website.
Holy crap. I think they're all gone. Oh, jeez. Anyway, there's 5 LUDTs in there, so just check it. It's xringcustoms.com. And the problem is okay, you guys don't understand the volume of knives. I can't talk about specific numbers, but the volume of knives, if you had to say one word of how many knives are made per week in Microtech, at Microtech, would it be small, large, or unbelievable?
To me, unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And they're sold out every single week. They just can't make them enough. It's been the same problem they've had for 26 years. I've waited a long time on these, and the problem was getting them laser engraved.
There should be a few on there still because
I would think because these charges are still coming through.
Yeah.
And guys, I do appreciate it. I really do. But like I said, I wanted to offer something. I'm not going to sell a lot of knives on the site. It's going to be very few and far between.
You didn't even get a chance to tell them. So this is what's the thing on this one?
That is called the Special Demolition 2. Special Demolition 2.
Special Demolition.
Because think about it. Large underwater demolitions team. All Microtechs are made in the USA. They have a lifetime warranty.
If I liked you, I'd probably buy one of these.
I don't want you to because these guys will. You need to save it for them.
I know.
You need to save it for them.
Just checked out your website. Where are the belts?
They are not available yet. So a lot of things have got put on hold because of this contract that I'm working out with a company.
Charles confirmed it.
And so a lot of the goods that we were supposed to start in production, I think they're getting ready to start 1 or 2 more assembly lines for us. And I appreciate it. Because,
Andy says 2 left.
Oh, yeah. I think the LUDTs, there might be 2 left.
Yeah, and Charles says, yep, gone. Honestly, the LUDT is probably the most underrated, best folder. I love that thing. In the pocket, it fits perfect.
And guys, these are all brand new in the box. I just picked them up this afternoon. We have been waiting forever. We have multiple laser machines. And I know you guys are like, you might say, well, don't you guys laser your own tubes?
The LUDT is an auto opener, yeah.
Yeah, I don't do manuals. The LUDT is actually not offered in a manual.
Yeah.
And the Socom Elite manual is great, but I will tell you, and I'm going to go ahead and be full disclosure here, the lockup system in the auto for the Socom Elite is actually better than the manual. After so many years of flicking a Socom Elite manual, what will happen is your lock tab will need to come in and be refitted because what happens is they actually time it so it falls in the center of the blade, and the more you use it, it'll start working its way to the outside, and then now you're going to have a problem getting the lock undone. So for hard use, I know it works on these. And I appreciate it, guys. I really do.
Bob Kansas says, hashtag triggered. Oh, that was too fast.
Went fast.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys, for anyone that ordered. Awesome. It'll be a while before I have any more because these took forever to have done.
Quite a few names out there we know.
Yeah, well, we don't want to call them out.
No,
that's privacy.
All I said was quite a few names we know.
Thanks, guys. Also, I did add some, I was able to get a couple of the Aics Mag Holders in. Supposed to be getting another big shipment of those this week.
Top got one.
Yeah. So congrats to those that were able to get them. And like I said, I did not mark them up in any way. If you compare it to any Microtech dealer, authorized dealer, it's the same cost you have to pay for any of them.
The Aics mags are sold out as well?
I don't know. I put 3 in there this afternoon because I was only able to grab a couple, and so they might be gone as well. I don't know. I will try my best to get some more because this is actually supposed to be a lot of like 10 and 10, and that didn't happen, but I was fortunate enough to get what I could get, so I'll do those, and then I don't know if I'll ever offer an out the front. No, or if I do, it'll have some really cool laser engraving. How's that?
I think one with Isyour6covered would look cooler. I'm just kidding. All right, Brian.
Well, thanks, folks.
Brian Mark says, "Is it worth going 27 or 28 with 6 Creed? How much more muzzle velocity over the 26-inch?"
Okay, we'll need to get somebody else in on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it'd be.
All of my 6.5 Creeds before I switched into the longer barrel, Brian, and that was in 6 Creed more. My 6.5s were 26-inch or shorter. I had a 24-inch as well. When I went 6 Creed more, I immediately went with the factory barrel, which was 26, but then I had the opportunity to pick up some longer barrels.
You know what? We don't need this.
And your 6 Creed is a 30 inch or 29?
No, I don't think it's that long. I think it's a 27.
Okay, I'll check it.
Yeah, I know it's not 30. It feels like 30 when you're carrying it. Can you guys still hear us now that we switched over? Hashtag still a dick scarab. Yeah, that'd be cool, Davy J. Let me see.
I can get that done.
Can we get a blade with ADW90 laser engraved?
We probably
that would be cool too. Yeah. Tim Davis. John Kreideman says yes. Audio's good. 5 out of 5. Dusty Rhodes. Appreciate it, Dusty. Yeah, it's fun. Oh, now Josh wants to jump back in here, and he's gone again. Man, I feel sorry for him. I don't know what his deal is. Let's see. Charles Tiffy's out there with some great answers. We got I have ran from 22 to 26 inch 6.5s. You will see about 25 feet per inch of barrel. Just a lot of knowledge there.
Okay, so you have a 28-inch barrel at the threads, not including the muzzle brake.
Not including the muzzle brake? Oh, so it is longer than I thought.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't shot the thing in so long. Night, LR21. Appreciate you showing up. I know you got to work early in the morning.
Appreciate it.
All right. We have 5 gallons of ADW90. You can never have too much, Abigail. Well, that was exciting and a bummer all at the same time.
What's that, with Josh?
No, well, that too, but your knife sold so
No,
fast.
I'm not disappointed. I'm glad you guys were able to get them, the ones that wanted to get them. And, you know, there was a comment that was up there a minute ago from Shaggy Rifleman. Basically said, he basically said, Ray, fine, I'll take my money elsewhere if you're not going to do the out the front. My whole thing is I will carry an out the front occasionally. I mean, Rick got one of these, I bought one of these, and they're really cool. I'll carry them occasionally.
This is what you'll see us carrying all the time.
This is going to require maintenance, okay? This would be, and I wanted to liken it to something like I want to carry a 2011 for defensive purposes, as opposed to my Glock 19.
Yeah, you can get it dirty.
That Glock 19,
it's always going to work.
7 months, right? A year. If it was just full of pocket lint, you didn't oil it or anything else, it's still going to work. That 2011, would you have a lot of faith in it?
Get a little scary towards us.
Yeah.
After the 3rd month.
So that's the thing. With an out the front, because there are so many internal mechanisms in here, as you know now,
I know
lots of springs and things, there is more maintenance. And the maintenance is pretty simple. It doesn't require you to open the knife up or go inside of it. But what you want to do is flush it out, flush all of that lint and whatever debris you have in there. Possibly even, do you have any coins on you? So carrying that in your pocket, if you carry change in your pocket, you can take
a penny can take you out of,
or a dime and slide it in that hole. But the same thing, to be fair, it can happen on one of these, okay? The only difference is you won't see it on this because it'll be stuck inside of the chassis. And on this, you're going to see it sticking out like a little ball on the side. So it's just a lot easier to make this more unreliable than this.
He says he's got everything working except Mike. Damn it, Josh. All right, let's see. Combat out the fronts. Your pal Matt.
Combat Troodon is another favorite of mine, and maybe I've got to see what they allow me to do. Now I am set up as a dealer with them. We had to do all that in order for me to get these knives, but I've been a dealer with Microtech for a long, long time. Actually, Sam and I were dealers back in 2000, since 2015. We just never sold them. We basically were set up so that we could sell them to our friends and all of that, and they had access to them because the problem with Microtechs is you can't find them. They're always sold out. Yeah. And but without name dropping a lot, some of our biggest dealers, and feel confident in ever buying from these guys, but like PVK, that's Paul Victor, K as in King, PVK in Vegas, very, very good to deal with. Josh Burbank is the owner of that. They have a good selection, but you have so many other dealers all across the world.
What question is this? We'll make a great material for Penetrator.
Yeah, I'm sure it would. Okay, so Inconel, what he's talking about, Inconel is really used a lot in blast baffles on suppressors, okay, like initial blast baffles.
Yeah, because of the heat,
it's
right?
very, very durable. When you get into like machine gun chambers on certain guns, you'll have like stellite, okay? They'll also use stellite in suppressors as well. It's a lot more, what's a good word for it? A good word is abrasion resistant, for the heat resistance, for all of that that's happening at the chamber when you're just running a belt fed just nonstop, okay? So what he's talking about is a penetrator core for a bullet to penetrate something. It would work, I think, tungsten, because you're wanting a lot of the extra weight. Tungsten will be good as well. I don't know about Inconel and using it as a core, but I mean, it'd be interesting. You know, we're talking about, you know what, I'm not allowed to talk about that yet, but we're talking about some bullets related stuff with different materials here soon that we might be experimenting with.
Cardinal Puff, I think Matt, my pal Matt, might still be out there. And I remember we were talking about a chassis that sounds like that PDC. I think there was a guy shooting for Ruger that had that white one. I think that was a PDC chassis. I don't have any experience with holding one or shooting one, but if that is what I was looking at, I really liked it. I like the magwell, how it was straight. That was some of the things I noticed right off the get-go.
Yeah, HRM Weapons Machinist, he said self-cleaning blade, use a brush on that slot or something like a wipe. I mean, it would work. I don't know if I'd want, like, you know, eyelashes on my opening when the blade comes out. It'd be like some of these Volkswagens we see running around Asheville that have these eyelashes on them.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah, Charles Tiffy says, Inconel, some hard shit, needs up tooling. Absolutely. It's just like, you know, anytime you're machining, you know, titanium, Inconel, Stella, any of that stuff, you're just going to eat it up. And the tooling is so expensive on these machines.
Yeah, TV keeping blowing the dirt and debris out of it is definitely, especially with these ones. It has a rear port in the chassis, so you could, in essence, blow air through there a lot easier than you could with the closed chassis.
Yep. TB says shoot it with air from time to time, but you also want to use a little bit of lubrication. No one can find rim oil right now, baby, but if you have access to rim oil, we'd always recommend to flood it. Flood it, and then air compress, you're good. Yeah. Yeah, Arizona Custom Knives has a Microtech Dragon Slayer for $25,000. I know that knife very well.
We just looked at it 2 days ago.
I actually interviewed the engraver for that. We used to have a very, very talented custom engraver, and I actually did all the interviewing with him. Very, very talented individual, and he did some knives that were just
say that site again.
Out of this world.
Say the site again. Do you remember? What's the name of that site?
Which site?
The one that had the dragon thing.
Arizona Custom Knives.
When you guys get a chance, write this down. And the reason why I say this is you would be amazed at some of the beautiful knives. These things are like works of art. Like just
they are.
I mean, you could hang them and put them on your wall, and people would just be mesmerized and awed by like looking at them. I mean, their price tag, you'll be mesmerized and awed just figuring out how much these things cost. But it's beautiful. The inlays of abalone and meteorite and just crazy things that you never think. It's just amazing.
Okay, so
polished blades and mirror polished blades and DLC mirror polished blades and so on and so on. Okay, go ahead.
On the initial meteorite, I was part of that project back in 2013, 2014, and we actually bought a certified
meteorite.
Meteor. All right, meteor.
Meteor.
And it's ungodly how heavy these things are. I mean, you're like, there's no way this thing can weigh this much. It's like gold.
How big was the piece you had?
The piece we had was about this big.
That's pretty big.
And I don't want to tell you how much that thing cost.
Let's just say a lot.
It was a lot of money. And what you're basically doing is you're you've got to cut it, and that's the hardest thing is cutting it, because these things have huge amounts of iron in them, and they've been traveling through space and the heat, and it's crazy. We tried a ton of different things.
Lynn, I have a
and
question. Keep going. I'm looking for a question by Lynn.
what you're doing is you basically you're taking thin slices of it, and there are no two that are going to be alike. And when you cut it, you're not going to see the meteorite that I'm not going to say inlay. You're not going to see that structure, that crystalline structure that you normally see. That actually has to be brought out with this certain acid, and then it will rust like crazy. So you have to seal it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, all that has to be sealed. Yeah, because
that's just like crazy metal, really.
Correct. And actually, the owner of the company gave my daughter a piece of it for a necklace, and she still has that necklace to this day. Mini X, she still carries it
That's cool.
on the necklace. But the thing is after a while, that lacquer will wear off, and that thing will rust like crazy. But yeah, you're trying to protect where the acid etching happens.
Lynn Hole has a good question. He says, do you have an opinion on pocket clips? Some folks remove them and pocket carry only. I always have a clip just because you can access it easier. If not, you'd have to
scratch your car door.
You'd have to dig all the way down. That is a
scratch
downfall.
your leather, kill your steering wheel when you get in and out of the car.
Yep.
Done it all.
Scratch
I'm sure
your
you guys
walls,
have it.
scratch your doors.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you can grab your pocket knife.
I am pocket clip only.
Yeah.
Pocket clip only.
So much so that.
Dang, I'm here from the government. He says he's a big Microtech guy because he says he's carrying a combat now. Just bought a couple knives, a die rack from PVK from Josh down there.
Nice. Yeah, I never knew. Okay, so I'll give you guys an example. I was, as a little kid, I grew up. I ran around, what I called the woods, the forest, and shot BB guns and lizards and squirrels, and but I always had some type of pocket knife on me. But I never even knew what Microtech was until I moved out here. So I was always a big Kershaw fan. They were a pretty cheap knife, but I liked their quality. Didn't know any better, like that they made better steel and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And now being here, being introduced to Microtech for quite a few years now, there is a difference. There's definitely a difference. And you get what you pay for at the end of the day.
Guys, here's a great analogy. Just compare it to, I'm just going to make up a name here, and I'm not trying to knock on it, but your Walmart Savage that shoots a 22, I don't even sell guns anymore, do they? A 22 long rifle, inexpensive, and then compare it to a Voodoo 22. A V22.
Yeah, the steel's completely
It's different. The same caliber. It's the same thing. They do the same thing. It's just, what are you getting? You're paying a lot more for this, but there's so much engineering. There's better materials. The machining is going to be better. You're not going to see tool marks all over it.
You get a lifetime warranty. You can send it in.
It's made in the USA. It's all made in the USA.
All made in the USA. So there's real people, not robots, and a real American sharpening and building and making. And we just happen to be one of them now.
Yeah, there's 3 facilities. You guys might know this. We have a large facility in Bradford, Pennsylvania. We say that's what does our heavy lifting. That's where we have most of our equipment. It's right across from Zippo. And it's been there for quite a while. And then we have 2 facilities in North Carolina, just right up the street from us. Not too far, but I say right up the street. But it's a ways down the road. But one's in Fletcher and one's in Mills River, North Carolina.
Okay, so Charles Tiffy, good friend of ours out there, says, so Microtech warranty question. If you sharpen the blade away, does it cost to have a new blade put on, or is it under warranty like Benchmade?
Okay, so
that's not...
This is a great question.
That's not a warranty thing.
One that gets a lot of people upset. If you read into the manuals, I don't know if they've changed this, but they used to say that if you sharpened your knife, you would void your warranty. Okay? That's what they said. And
go ahead.
And they weren't trying to be butts about it. But what happens is a guy would take his Sears bench grinder, and he would take this knife, and he would sharpen it on his bench grinder, didn't know a thing about it, and we would get knives in, and guys, I kid you not, the blade was about that big. Okay? Okay? That's abuse. This is 20 years being sharpened properly. And now, I've lost a lot of blade. You guys don't realize that, but there's a lot of blade missing here. when you compare it to, I'm going to try to hold these up. Okay, do you see how much blade is missing there, guys? And that's about a good angle, and we're not getting parallax error here. Remember I told you the tip was broken and it was basically reshaped. So that's why the length is gone. But, and you guys might know this. If you don't, this is going to be awesome. If you do know it, then just bear with us for about 5 minutes. Okay, so
that's why you always have 2 Microtechs. The reason why you have 2 Microtechs at least is you send one in to get sharpened. You always have one for your pocket.
Okay, so when you talk about blade profiles and you talk about grinds on your blade, most of your knives, most of your production knives, all the stuff you get,
they'll enjoy this.
All the stuff you get from just run-of-the-mill knives. It doesn't matter if it's a SOG or if it's a Benchmade or whatever. Your profile of your blade is going to look something like this, okay? Kind of like a V, okay?
Let me answer James' question real quick.
Okay.
He says, "What do you use to sharpen your knives with?" You send them in. We just send them over to the guys to sharpen them, but just send them in. Honestly, they'll do it the correct way, and he'll tell you why and all that kind of stuff. Go.
Okay, so
That's
just
just
a bad
one
drawing.
ugly ass blade there.
I know it is.
Oh, that's looking good. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a production grind. Okay, so if I were to show you the profile of this blade right here, and you were to look at it straight on, you guys see that V that's forming? That's what you're going to see here. Okay, it's very sharp initially, but as the years go on, what are we doing? Now, that's going to get us into sharpening angles as well. Sharpening angles mean a lot. You know, steeper angles are going to be sharper. What did I do with that freaking... Oh, there it is in my hand. I'm looking for my keys and they're in my hand. So the sharpening angle that you use, and I think depending on the model, you're looking at 18 degrees, 22, 20 degrees, somewhere in there. Basically, it depends on what you're doing with the knife. If you're constantly needing a surgically sharp knife, you're going to come in with a steeper angle. But the problem is now you're going to chip easier. It's not going to be a good work angle.
Won't hold an edge.
Correct. But the more we sharpen this knife properly, the fatter this gets. And that's where my knife is right now. It's right in here in this area. So in order to try to get a good edge on it, we're having to come in here and basically cut away a whole lot more of the blade because the knife is 21 years old. And so you can see that point, okay, that's like that. When you get into a custom grind, and this is why custom knives cost so much more, these are actually done on a machine. It's called a burger machine. It's Heinz Burger. It comes from Germany. They're extremely expensive. They take about 2 years to have built, and then they've got to be shipped over. They actually have robotics that take these and take the blades, and the machine will come in and put that first grind on there. But it's straight. There's no concavity to it. This is concave, okay? Well, the thing is you can sharpen it a whole lot longer and still have a great usable blade. So that's one thing to look at on a knife. It's got a really good blend there on the grind line. That usually means it's a custom.
And they put a lot more time and energy and effort into those.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, each one of those has to be fixtured into a fixture block, and they have to draw center lines on them so that they meet perfectly. They take so much more time.
When you're looking down the blade, the lines aren't like this.
Yeah, they're perfect. They're absolutely perfect. You will see some imperfections. You don't have an Ultratech, do you?
Yeah, I got a couple.
A double edge? You have anything double edge?
Yeah, I have the Live.
Yeah, could you grab that, please, sir?
Yeah.
I'm going to show you guys, so I'm going to kind of tell them myself. Those burger grinding stones are money. Yeah, it sounds like it. Sounds like it. I'm trying to read up on some comments here. Yeah, Emerson makes a great knife. No issues with them. I have no issues with any of the knife makers. I like a lot of different brands. But there's not a lot of brands where they're made in the USA or 100% made in the USA. You have a lot of this that's outsourced overseas to China. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Let's see here. Okay, that's a perfect example. All right, so what I want you guys to focus on here.
Here, get a piece of paper. Excuse me.
All right, what I want you guys to focus, I need to focus a little bit more, is as much as they try, if you look right in this area right there, okay, if I twist this a little bit, you see that groove has a bigger gap on this side than it does on this side. Okay, I don't know if you see what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about specifically is right here. That is wider than that. Okay?
There we go.
And as much time as they put into this, you're never going to get that exactly perfect with a burger machine. You get it pretty close. You get pretty darn close. That right there is about as good as it's going to get. But you'll notice there's just a little bit less on this side than there is on the other. Because you're dealing with multiple grinds there.
Oh,
with a custom knife,
okay.
they're going to get it absolutely perfect. Because, yeah, Kershaw is Chinese. You know, a lot of people don't realize how many of those knives do come from China. And a lot of the steel, believe it or not, that's marked, this is, you know, ATS 34. This is, you know, LMAX. It's
you can type anything you want.
Yeah, you can laser anything you want onto a blade.
You could say it's straight up ninja.
Yeah, that's one of those caveat emptor. Buyer beware. Rick's like, whatever.
No, it's good info.
So, just trying to...
So, TV had a question, and I think Dusty answered. It says, last one I sent in before Christmas took a little over a week. How long it takes to get service?
Okay, so Microtechs do have a lifetime warranty, but it's limited, okay? If they no longer make it, okay? So, it is an older company. It's 26 years old. There are some pieces we no longer make, no longer support. What they'll do is they'll do their best to service it. There are probably some parts that are still around, but there are some parts that just won't be made again. They will offer to give you a discount on something or try to replace that as best they can. But if it's something that's been, you know, the Socom's been in production for 20 plus years, they'll do their best. But back to the original question. If you sharpen your blade wrong and you're taking a bench grinder to it, they will not give you a new blade. You will have to purchase a new blade if it's shown that it was premature due to neglect or abuse. Okay?
Well, right on the thing it says send it in for sharpening.
Correct. And all you have to do is call in, get an RA, and what we call it is a spa day. They disassemble it completely, get all the pocket cheese out of there and the crud and everything else. They sharpen it, make sure everything's good, replace springs, and then send it back to you.
Stikes, I don't know how to say this, but I wanted to make sure we say hi to him. And people should watch the Voodoo YouTube video. It goes into detail.
Nice.
Any experience with the Emerson knives?
Yes, a lot. I've owned a lot of them. So Brian T, it's called a hollow grind, and there's actually some companies called hollow grind, but that's what we're talking about with the concavity here is a hollow grind.
I'm cheap. I like Kershaw. Kershaw's a decent knife. Really is. There is a difference, though. We've done a lot of testing and torture stuff, messing with cheaper knives that I had brought over from when I lived in California and didn't know that they made better knives, and there's a difference.
Yeah, there is a difference. Mike 21 STI says Microtech should start making samurai swords. Believe it or not, there was a run of katanas, wakasashis that were made. Those are worth a freaking fortune right now. If you ever run across one of those and it's legit, and yeah, you're looking at thousands upon thousands of dollars. But there's also some giant halos too.
Thousands or hundreds of thousands?
No, thousands upon thousands. I think I've seen. You'll get into those. Some of those can get crazy. You know, 5, 6, 7,000 easily, and then you got some like the larger, the giants that go 10, 15,000. There's one called a masterpiece. I think it's about 7,000. Those are sold out before they ever start cutting the first thing on them. They only do them like once every 2 years or so. Very, very, very nice knives.
Wasn't talking about sharpening wrong. Just in general, I kill 300 to 400 pigs a year and sharpen a knife quite often.
Okay,
My
sorry.
reason for asking.
Yeah, you know, as long as it hasn't been abused, they'll put a different edge on it, but they won't replace the blade for you, unfortunately.
Let's see. I got a variable speed grinder. This is where
That's
it all starts.
John Townley, great question. If you disassemble your Microtech, does that void the warranty? Just asking because I saw the tool set for sale. It was $375. If you read, it says
awesome.
It voids your warranty, but it does not void your warranty. The reason they put that in there is because the minute you open that up, and you don't know what you're doing, and you're on carpet, you're going to lose springs, so you're going to lose parts, pieces, and components that might or might not still be available for that knife. That's the problem, is they don't want people going into them because they're not difficult. It's not rocket science. I did a full disassembly assembly.
One. But the problem is if you lose
But you got spare parts.
I got spare parts.
Yeah, you have a whole tray of spare parts.
Magic tray of tiny little springs.
As a matter of fact, there's some springs that we use tweezers on when we're assembling them.
Yeah.
This is the easiest way. And when one flies out, I'm like, guys, don't even waste the time to turn around and look to see where it's at. Grab a new one. That one's already hit the floor. You're going to search for it for 30 minutes. And heaven forbid if you're in a carpeted environment, you're never going to find it.
You're done. You'll find it and one night when you're walking to the bathroom with no socks on and no shoes.
So they don't want you going into it, but they're not going to void your warranty because you've been into it.
We both have videos of taking them apart so that you don't have to.
Correct.
If you want to know what's in there, that's how I was when I was younger. I'm like, oh, look, my dad bought a new drill. I wonder what's inside of here. And I can never put it back together right. So if you just want to know what's in those, they're basically similar. I think mine's on an Ultratech.
Oh, that hurts just reading that HRM.
Cut a grade A bolt with a Microtech.
I don't think that's happening.
Oh, wow.
I think the blade material that we use, even though it's a super steel, trying to cut a grade 8 bolt, and guys, there are different grades of bolts. Your grade 8's typically going to be like goldish colored. That's the easiest way just to tell, as they'll usually be, but they're really, really hard, very strong. I think what would end up happening is you just break, you'd make a nice little crevice right here in your blade.
James Henderson has a great question here. He says, and does Microtech make a small folder? I have large hands and don't want to... The LUDT, which is put away now, is small enough you could throw it in your pocket.
Okay.
But it'd be better to have a clip, but he doesn't sound like he wants a clip on it.
James, I'm going to go ahead and answer this question. We do make some small folders. Right now, they're in the custom line. They're extremely expensive. There is a knife that we used to make called a mini Socom Elite. I actually have one. I don't have it with me, but it is really small. It is this exact knife scaled down. They made it in an auto and a manual, but it's probably that long, the entire knife. It's really tiny. There have been talks that might resurface. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. There's only so much information I'm allowed to share. But there's some information saying that the people want to see it, so maybe we'll see that in a year or two. All right, I am going to answer that. I'm not going to shy away from any questions.
This one?
Andrew says grade 8, harder than woodpecker lips. That's a fact. Okay, so we're going to get into the nuances of this company. I'm going to go ahead and answer this. Hopefully I still have a job tomorrow, but if I don't, then...
Hey, we got more shooting
the Lord
time.
willed it. Yeah. So Nancy Mink asked, did Marfione copy the ZT0777 to make the Matrix? I think I'm free to talk about this now since all of this stuff is over with and under the bridge. So there was a knife made by ZT, Zero Tolerance, and it was the 0007 or 00777, whatever it is. And it was on display at one of the shows. And I think it was a one-off. I don't know. I didn't see it at the time.
Hell if I know.
Okay. But the story behind it was we challenged you to make this knife. And it was a production knife, okay? Or it was a one-off, like a prototype.
You might have told me this story.
And this made it in all the papers and everything else. This was in the news for the knife world. So Microtech said, we can absolutely make that knife. And that knife was in production in like 2 weeks. Like from I saw it to it's made. And there were a few slight differences, but it was a challenge.
That was I'm your Huckleberry answer to that.
That's exactly what it was. We challenged you to try to make this knife. There's a lot of articles on it. So when you look at the two knives, they are almost identical. They really are. And it caused a lot of friction between the companies. I don't even know legally what all ended up happening and everything else. I do know that about 2-3 years ago, they answered back and made a knife called a Natrix with an N. And a Natrix is a snake in the grass. So that was another rebuttal. That ended up getting into a lawsuit that some people know about. I'm getting into the dirty laundry here, but it is public knowledge. But yeah, it was a challenge, and I think it was answered.
Yeah.
Something of that
Don't
effect.
challenge somebody and then get all butter because they fulfilled the challenge. That's just dumb.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, so, I mean, there are things, I will tell you, one of the beauties of that company is our ability to, if you can think it, we can make it. And we can go from concept to paper to reality in what would take most companies weeks or months. We can do it in hours.
Yeah, there's a good example.
Yeah, actually, there's a really good example that is on me that I'm not allowed to show right now.
Yeah.
And this was literally paper, boom, and this will be hitting the market very shortly. He knows what I'm talking about. I can't share it. Unfortunately, I can't. I will lose my job for that. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It started off with a sketch on the paper. All right, be back in a minute. Boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, we got it working. And
what do you think?
Beautiful.
And bam. What were your thoughts on the Terminus Zeus Curtis Vector? Could change gun, but can't afford an AI.
I've heard good things about it, guys. An AI is very expensive. There's no doubt about it. And I think an alternative to that is just as Matt's saying, go with something that has pretty much the same concept with the screw. Where I don't know because I don't own the Zeus, I don't own the Vector, but I've heard good things, especially about the Curtis. I've heard a lot about the Zeus, but I've heard more about the Curtis.
Charles Tiffy might know.
Charles might know, but having the ability to have a pre-fit barrel, just boom, take it off, put a new one in. There's nothing like it. It is pretty awesome.
That is really awesome.
Yeah.
I know on that Axiom, you can actually, if you were to have the right barrel, so you can swap them back and forth, you can actually run a 22 long rifle bolt with a conversion, and it turns into a nice little 22 LR rifle.
Trainer. Guys, there's also another option.
Which is made by Voodoo.
There's also another option. I know we do talk about a lot of expensive things on the channel. I get it. But you don't have to, okay? The 223 AI that I had built, there's a very, very popular modification. I'm sure Charles and everybody has seen a ton of these. It's a cheaper alternative without sacrificing too much. Guys, find your Remington 700 action, like a short action. Have your gunsmith go ahead and blueprint it, take all the measurements, everything it needs to do, and just run you a rimmage. It's basically a cross between a Remington and a Savage. They call it a rimmage. Run a rimmage conversion on it. It's a barrel nut. The tool on it, it's just hand tight. And you could literally do a barrel change yourself as long as your gunsmith has your headspace, dimensions. He can spin you up a barrel. Doesn't even need to be there. Send it to you. You can unscrew it, put it on, and then boom, hand tight. It's another option. It's not going to be as fast as the AI or the Curtis or the Zeus, where you're just taking an Allen key and turning it and just spinning it off. But it is a really good option.
And screw it down.
Yeah.
Josh, we'll get it figured out, buddy.
I'd say a quarter of the price. Because you can get a Remington 700 action. I don't know about now, but back then, not back then, a year ago, you could get them for less than $300. Get you a nice Remington 700 action and just have everything squared up and gone through. And if you've got a good gunsmith, Eagle Eye does that stuff with Desert Precision Gun Works. He did a spectacular job with mine. So maybe look into that. It'll save you a lot of money, and you can put that extra money into a really, really good barrel if you don't want to spend $3,000 on a barreled action.
Yeah. And have some extra money for help out with the optics section of it. Because that's always fun and cheap. Not. Bad Billy 429, buddy. Let's see, can you order a Trude Remington action for $454?
Yep, you can order one. Already trued up, ready to go, $450 to $475. And guys, just think about it. Any of these impacts or, the Zermats, TL3, the Bighorns, you're going to be looking at $1,200 to $1,400. Look at a Defiance or something like that. Just for the action.
Just to have that piece, to say you have it. That's it, really.
Yeah, and does it have a different feel? Yes, it does. But I think some of that comes down to I just want it. You know, I mean, guys, Remington 700, it's a great action. You know, you can change the trigger and everything else, but if it's been trued up, an action, you know, well, maybe it doesn't have a 60-degree throw.
I was going to say, if you're a 60-degree freak like I am,
yeah,
then you're like, oh, okay, I'm down to a couple different options, and this is the one I'm going to go with. Teak action. If you wanted a 60-degree,
yeah,
you could just buy a teak action. Thing's smooth as silk, man. I love that freaking.
What was the name of the knife place in Arizona? It's called Arizona Custom Knives. If you want a custom action, the Bighorn Origin is hard to beat for $825, and it is. It is. You guys know that I do have the Bighorn, the TL3s. I love those actions; they're great. You know, a lot of guys were like, "Impact, impact, impact." You know, that's you want one of those. And when we were actually out in Wyoming, and I picked one up, I was like, it's not really what I was kind of looking for in an action. Just aesthetically, it did not appeal to me. You remember that one?
Yeah.
It's kind of clunky. Nothing wrong with it, but
you weren't amazed at it.
I wasn't sitting there going,
I gotta have this. Yeah. There was a good comment in here a second ago. Oh, Matt has that one. Doesn't he have? He has two Bighorn actions.
He does.
And Matt has one on the. I think it's the 223 Ackley Improved.
Yeah. McGowan makes shouldered Tika barrels. Let's see, 3 Lug Nation.
Yeah, maybe.
Trying to make sure we don't miss anything.
I have a buddy with 2 impacts. Be like, Hunter, I can't read that shit anymore.
It says, I have a buddy with 2 impact precisions. What he's talking about is an action, guys. Yeah. And I'll be a 100%. I'd buy 2 Origins for the same money as 1 impact. There you go, guys. And Charles Tiffy's a very accomplished shooter, does a lot of PRS, a wealth of knowledge. Glad he actually contributes to the channel with a lot of his experiences and everything else. I mean,
I'm trying to get him on here, but he's just busy.
As an attorney once told me, is the hike worth the view? You know? You know, it's
great way to say it.
Yeah, I mean, and it might not be.
Actually, Microtech Socom is the next blade I buy. I don't know if that's going to happen. Unfortunately, Mike.
Yeah, like I said, I'll try to get some more. I don't know how long. It might be months. Who knows before I can get any more. But I will. For anyone that bought the knife tonight, I'll get all of those shipped out tomorrow, first thing.
Next build is a 300 PRC. Which action would you recommend? I was going to go with impact. Well, Tyler, depends how much money you want to spend, buddy.
I'm not talking bad about impact in any way, shape, or form. That's a great action. If you're going to build a 300 PRC, which I've had a chance to shoot, I shot one out of a Christensen action, shot pretty well. That's a powerful cartridge, no doubt about it. I mean, it'll reach out there. I mean, 1 mile targets are a joke.
Really?
Yeah, with the 300 PRC, no problem at a mile getting it dialed in. But yeah, I mean, impact's a good choice, no doubt about it.
Tony wouldn't be where he is now. He is good at what he does. I truly believe he is at the top of being a knife maker.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy that surrounds Microtech. I'm just being straightforward with everyone. If you look and you go back and do some digging and this, that, and the other, you'll see it. And even as nice as you are, you have haters and dislikers. You know, same thing for me. You're not going to please all the people all the time. He's different. I'm going to go ahead and say this. He is a genius.
I was just going to say he's a genius. I had a chance to sit there and remember the one day, I don't remember who he was talking to, but they were talking about metal and something. Yeah. And I'm like, holy crap.
Oh, I remember.
You know what I'm talking about? I don't remember what they're talking about, but I'm like, holy crap, there's a lot involved here.
Some people use that term loosely when they say genius. And guys, I'm one of those knuckleheads when it comes to it. Numbers, I'm just really, really good with numbers.
Yeah, you are.
And I can sit there and Tony can, in his mind, pull up numbers from knives that were made 20 years ago and tell you every single spec down to the 10,000ths of surface grinding. I mean, it's insane. And I'm like, how in the hell can you retain that? I mean, the amount of numbers and tolerances that he can just retain up here, it's incredible. It really is. And it's not just on that. You know, I worked with him hand on hand. We worked together on the suppressor program. And, you know, we really did knock it out of the park for a company that is a knife company to do a suppressor and then win a military contract for
you guys
making a suppressor.
You guys hit a home run on that.
And if you don't believe that one, watch the NFA review. I don't know the reviewer, but he got one of our suppressors to review, and he was like, this is legitimate. It's up there with the top.
Stupid quiet.
And that wasn't copying anybody. That was us starting tabula rasa, clean slate, just let's do it. And him and I worked hand in hand, just making... I showed you all the variances.
Yeah, that was cool.
And, you know, it was really...
Tiny little tweaks. I mean, like, tiny.
Yeah, you know, do we change this? How about this circumference?
Try
what
that
about
one,
if we do this?
got louder. Nope, that ain't the right way to go.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool.
Matches won't land a 300 PRC. Let's see.
Yeah, you know, that's another thing, too. So I actually had some people email me. They're like, man, I want to get into PRS, and I really want to get I want to get this 300 Win Mag. And I mentioned this once before, and I was like, whoa, time out. Now, I don't think that's why Tyler is buying a 300 PRC. Maybe not. I think it's probably for hunting. Yeah, there we go. It's at the bottom. It's not for steel, but elk hunting. A lot of people like to use the 300 PRC for hunting. That's what I'm seeing, but it's a very capable round. Like I said, 1,700, 1 mile is a joke with that.
Wow.
It is a joke.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah, so I mean it's cool to see that, but it's at the same time it's not a 338 Lapua Magnum, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it's like
people get those and they're like, man, I sold it. I got no place to shoot it, because shooting a mile with a 338 Lapua is a joke.
So it's like shooting 300 yards with a 6 Creedmoor or something.
If you want to equate it to that, there you go. That's a very good analogy. You are not being able to utilize the capabilities of that, and most people don't have 2,000 plus yards. Out west, that's different. Yeah. But 2,000 plus yards, when you get into that, you're going to have problems with spotters being able to see the targets. Well, I'm running magneto speeds, and well, okay, well, great. But if you're running low power and now you can't see the there's a lot going on when you get into those kind of distances. And I've shot those distances quite a bit, and that's where those other cartridges really shine. You don't want to be doing that with a 6.5. Can you? Yes, you can, but you're making it a lot harder on yourself. You can also run...
Charles said you can actually run it as long as it's under 3,200 feet per second with a 30 cal bullet.
Okay, there you go.
And if you want to punish yourself.
Yeah.
Sounds like a heavy recoil rifle there.
Yeah, I think 3,100 or 3,200 feet per second was our limitation out in Utah as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Yep. Dang, it's already hour 17.
Jeez, and I was only going to be here like 45 minutes. It's always the way it ends up.
Chatty Cathy over here.
That's
how it is. Much. I mean, a lot of stuff good goes on. No. I'd rather you talk. I'm down on my sugar today, so, you know, I'm just not as motivated. And I'm out of tea, which really sucks, but...
Ray, did the rifle fail at Microtech because the tolerances were too tight? Okay, so what Nancy is referring to is back in the day, this was before my time, it still exists. The company still exists. It was called Microtech Small Arms Research. And what Tony did was he wanted to basically revamp something like the Steyr AUG, and it's very, very similar. Some people have referred to it as a clone, but what's a clone? I mean, you don't run around with your Noveske and somebody says, you got a clone of an AR with your Noveske there. I mean, of an AR-15 or
Yeah.
It was just another variation where you did more rails and things like that.
It's a look.
Initially, it was very similar to the AUG in that it used the waffle pattern magazines. They weren't Stanag mags. And honestly, there were a lot of problems in the early days with extractors because they were outsourcing the extractors, I believe. There was a company that was machining those for them because they needed to be done on Swiss machines. and there were all kind of issues. Okay, not passing the buck because, like I said, I wasn't there. I have no reason to pass the buck. Every one that I've ever owned has run flawlessly, but I didn't have any of the earlier models. I had the STG E4s that run the Stanag mags. I had quite a few of those, and those ran great. But I did hear a lot of horror stories. I do know there were some collectible models that came with a knife and everything else, and those just keep going up and up in price. They didn't make a few. They made over 12,000 and sold over 12,000. What happened was, I believe it was right during one of the mass shootings. It wasn't Sandy Hook. It was way before that time. I'm trying to think of the big shooting.
Was it a school one?
I don't remember, but basically,
maybe it's the Hollywood.
Anyway, a lot of dealers canceled their orders on those because they said they had too many. Whatever happened, and yeah, that's no longer. They're still cool, iconic rifle though.
Yeah, Shaggy Man. Rick's trying to call out for help.
I have a brand new Ruger 22 RPR. Would you swap the barrel and trigger? Buddy D, I definitely swapped the trigger out if you adjust it and it's not crisp. I know one of the things that Rick did is you bought a Timney trigger, changed it completely. Shoot that first. See what kind of groups you get with the ammunition that you're using. If it's shooting pretty tight groups of 50 yards, call it good.
Yeah. We were blasting quarter-inch targets at 50 with that thing.
Yeah. You can definitely be competitive with
CCI standard velocity,
but it depends on your ammunition and barrel combination. So, try it first, and then rebarrel it if it doesn't work, and then you can expect, like I said, it's going to be relying on your ammunition.
Yeah.
And try that first. Let's see. Buddy, my opinion, you would be better off selling it and buying a Bergara or CZ, LOL. Okay, so Charles makes a good point here, but I wouldn't just throw money at it yet. You might not like shooting rimfire, long-range matches. Shoot the RPR, just like Kreiderman's doing right now. He shot how many matches now? 3 or 4?
A lot, yeah.
And he loves it. But he's been shooting the RPR, no complaints.
Yeah.
But now he is moving up to a Voodoo. Play around with it first, get comfortable with it, see if it's something that you like, then upgrade.
Joaquin says, who here bought a LUDT? I know a few of you did. Let's see. Here the hell, wait. Who are we talking about? I wasn't paying attention. Let's see. Rick just ordered the 624 by 50 Vortex for the RPR. What's that scope rings height would you recommend? I'm running, let's see on that one. What's he running? Is he shooting it off a Ruger? No, that's a different question. On the 6 Creed, I'm running a spur, and it is I believe 1.25 inches height, and that is, let's see, it's 30. The 20 MOA. That's a cantilever one though, and then on the Voodoo, I'm running the F3R machine, and that is 0. And that is at 1 1/4 height as well with a 34 millimeter tube.
Yeah, Landrun says, just shoot that shit and learn it. And that's exactly what I say. Just go, have a good time. I will tell you on the LUDTs that I'm seeing some information up here. There were more than 2. There was like 5 LUDTs and 3 Socom Elites. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to even look at it, but I know everything's sold out right now. All right. What AICS style mags do you guys use?
For center fire, I'm running MDTs.
Okay. For me, on the Accuracy International, I'm using the AW magazines because they're not AICS magazines, a different double stack. And for any of my other rifles, believe it or not, the mag pulls work the best. I don't know why, because I'm not a big fan of that magazine, but I have good luck with it.
Yeah, it feeds well.
That being said, so one of the reasons I haven't been doing a lot of centerfire shooting is, you guys remember the last time I shot with a centerfire was the video that I put out of the 6 Dasher barrel that Proof had given me to. There's never been another one. so far, a 6
Yeah.
dasher barrel,
Which is pretty
pre-fit.
crazy.
It was really cool that I was able to get that from them, but I had feeding issues. So I went and looked for a fit kit, and I think it was HD Hardcore or something like that. Made a fit kit. I had ordered one from Patriot Valley, but the problem is I was going to have to chop the followers, the factory followers, in my AW magazines. Those AW magazines are not cheap, so I didn't want to do that. This other one has a full follower and spring replacement, so I was able to finally order those. So as soon as I get those in, I'm going to do more with the 6 dasher.
Nice. Well, and it'll be nice to actually see that, because
I want to see it
that
feed.
Yeah, you
you
did
know?
that video, and I didn't even get a chance to shoot it, see it, anything. So
Yeah.
let me make sure it's saved. Yeah.
All right. Hold on.
Let's see. Hit the like button, everyone. Shaggy Rifleman says, if we got to 100 likes, my phone tripod mount will magically show up, and I'll be able to make good content again. Everybody, help Shaggy Rifleman out. That's all I gotta say.
All right. So Nancy Mink, this is a great question.
Let's see. Hold on.
How important, very top, how important is it for a scope to be as close as possible to the barrel or not? It is not. And you don't want it too close, especially on some of these larger calibers. You will actually see them flex. You'll actually see in slow speed photography, or really fast frames a second, you have some flex that's going on there. So you want a little bit of clearance. The biggest thing is making sure you fit the rifle right and that you put the proper dimensions in from center line of scope to center line of bore for your height over bore. To be able to get that in, the closer you can get those numbers, the better. So I don't want it where it's almost touching, but a little bit of clearance is okay. Also, if you're older, having it a little higher can help you stay more neutral instead of being all cranked over here to try to get behind the scope. But just make sure that you've got that cheek riser adjusted right. All right, let's see here. Let me try to navigate this computer while he's gone. Would I be able to make a review of Microtech versus Raven Tactical? No, you can't. I'm surprised I even said that in the same sentence. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, you do know that those OTFs you're talking about, every single piece, part, and component of that knife is made in China. They are assembled in the United States, in someone's garage.
Come on, people.
The
What kind of dumbass questions?
Anyway, enough on that.
Been too much except
Check out Primal Rights for a mag kit. I'm going to write that down. Thank you, Charles.
Get your board of wisdom. People
I got it.
I do have a pen here though.
Everything's just been out.
Everything is out. We got a chassis coming tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. Tomorrow, the new chassis shows up. I'm very excited about that. Let's see here. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I thought, wasn't that? No, that was for a different cartridge. They were running the, what were they running? The Valkyrie, but it was running something better. What was the one? I'm trying to remember what that round was that you're running. The
6
mag
arc?
wise. Yeah, for the 6 arc, I think.
Okay, so the 6 arc that I had built, I was very impressed with that rifle. The problem is it was a nightmare for feeding. And Kenny happened upon the 224 Valkyrie magazines made by MDT, which solves a lot of those problems.
Too much.
Conservative Sniper Hunter 6 arc, in my opinion, was horrible for an AR, but actually as a bolt gun, it's a viable option. Very, very viable.
What's this say? Shaggy Rifleman says, I'll throw you a bone if you can make a Velcro
pouch
for an iPod Classic. I like to rock out while letting the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Did I order direct from MPA? This was a while ago. Oh, you're talking about the chassis. No, I ordered through Altus, which is the same place that I ordered my barreled action from. And when I talked to them 2 days ago, I think it was 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I said, do you have a bunch of chassis there? And they're like, yeah, we got a bunch. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Do you have any hybrids? And they're like, no, we don't have a hybrid. So it's like, shit. So I'm all, do you got that new Matrix? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, send it.
All right, so I need more clarification on this. And Jerry, this is a great question. He says, Ray, is forged aluminum legit or just a gimmick?
Forged?
So I have to understand what he's asking because, okay, so guys, let's think about an AR. If you take a mil-spec AR, let's say your Colt, okay, that is going to be, I think this is where his question is going, is it's basically, it's forged. It's a forged lower, okay?
Appreciate
or
it.
cast lower. Or you have billet lowers.
Yeah, billet lowers would be a solid piece that is CNC machined, correct?
Billet would be a solid piece that's CNC machined. It is not stronger. You can have more material and you can be a lot more creative in your designs when you go with a billet machined upper. It's a solid block of aluminum, okay? Now, when you get into cast, we all know what cast is, okay? And back in the day, there were some cast lowers, and there probably still are some cast lowers, but those are...
That's like where they fill it liquid aluminum.
Correct. That's exactly. You can sand cast some things. You can make the mold, fill it in there. And if I'm not mistaken, it's like PWA or PacWest Arms was the name of the company way back when. I believe it was Olympia or something, Olympic. They had cast lowers. And you didn't want to buy one of those as a machine gun. Even though it might not be a stressed part, it's cast. It's not going to be as strong. And, you might have a lot of money in this thing.
It
if
might
it's fully
split in
transferable. Yeah, and then what are you going to do? So when you get into forged lowers, that's by far going to be better as far as stronger, okay? Because you're taking this and you're forging it. Think about, if you're a golfer, think about forged irons as opposed to cast irons. They all have their place. But I think that's where your question is going, but forge versus billet. I'm going to go forge all the way. All the way.
Well, let's dive into
You guys are going to say
let's
billet.
Let's dive into this deeper, though.
And so many people say billet, but it's not going to be as strong if you're looking at same size comparison.
How is it forged, though? What does that mean? You got a chunk, you CNC machine it, you got billet. You got a tub, you fill it full of hot stuff.
Do you know what
you got cast?
What does a blacksmith do on an anvil?
Where he hammers it and he heats it and he does this. But
Okay,
how are they going to do that?
Forge.
So they do the block first?
So you're basically forging CNC that lower under, just think of it as pressure. Okay?
Did you say
under
pressure?
You're trying to compress it, okay? Compact it. Yeah, there we go. Essential Arms, Eagle Arms, and Olympic. I remember I got his Olympic. Cast lowers decades ago. 3 crowns. He's in the middle.
There he is. Thanks, by the way. Essential Olympic man.
Yeah, forge. Beat it. Beat it. That's exactly. Yeah, they don't hammer forge lower. I get it, but I'm trying to make it in a way that he understands it. Just trying to keep it like in layman's terms.
Yeah, you got to bust through.
But it's a forging, is what it is.
Billet is just a way to charge more
and be more creative.
I have seen a lot of funky, cool.
Yep, and you can be really cool. I mean,
what's up, blah blah?
Pretty awesome with it.
When do you think my Voodoo and other equipment will arrive? Your Voodoo should show up March. They should receive it March 15th, March 12th, something like that. That's when then they will take hold of them and then they'll ship them to our FFL, which we can go pick them up.
Yeah. So Chris says hydraulic pressure.
Okay. I'm here not as Mr. Wisdom. I'm here. We're all here to learn, and I just learned something. Probably forgot it already. Actually.
Cast versus forged versus machined. I want to say all day long forged. I like billet. It looks good, but I would say if I had to go in order of durability over durability test, it would be forged, then billet, then cast. From strongest to weakest.
That makes sense.
Landrum asked about primers. I had plenty of primers, so I'm good for my Wildcat cartridges and reloading.
Oh, here we go. 45 auto. What does 45 auto say? Altus lists the 18-inch Kukri contour barrel voodoo action. Estimate ship date March 15th. Yeah. Thanks, 45 auto.
Billets right. Beat it like you're putting a new handguard on an AK. That's so true. Holy crap. Oh, man.
The weights all go in the forearm.
Billets are actually formed and hardened through a process of chilling and aging, but it depends on the specs. It's all about the specs. It's all about the quality control.
If you're talking to me, Charles, I did order the interior weight kit for that thing. Primus.
Yeah.
Net Flutters first. You are first to comment at... it doesn't say the time. Oh, there it is. 10:38. First one to comment at 10:38. Let's see. Billet tighter tolerances back in the beginning, but forging has gotten better.
Yeah.
Tyler Rick, he was asking about weights for oh, gotcha. Yeah, Charles has that foundation. Hey, Charles, have you shot that thing? And if so, it says... It doesn't say it, but everybody claims that it really soaks up the recoil. What are your thoughts on that? Does it actually... Is it noticeable? Do you notice it? X-Ring with 40 MOA, 1913 rail. The eyepiece is about 1.26, and the objective in the center line of the barrel on the center is 1.230. What dimension do you use for calculated reference? What? You can actually type in, I think he's talking about maybe on Straylock or something.
I don't know. I was reading the other question, and it got me thinking. You know, so this whole thing about forged and billet ARs, other than somebody having an improper headspace and blowing one up, how many people have actually broken an AR lower or an AR upper? And I don't mean through abuse by not lining up your trigger guard right and breaking off one of the ears. But I want to know how many people have actually broken a lower or broken an upper. I'd like to hear. Not through explosion.
No, I'm going to say there's a few, but it'll be the polymer ones. I know there was back in the day.
That don't count. We're talking about forged versus billet. How strong do you need? I want to know what you're doing to your rifles to cause that.
That was billet polymer.
I have never owned a polymer AR, nor will I.
You don't need to. This is for people in California trying to get around things and make them themselves and all that kind of stuff. We have 18 inches of freaking snow. Oh, not yet, Charles, it says. All right, Charles, well, keep us updated, my friend. Get your ass out in that snow and shoot some freaking targets.
Landrin89 says mill or MOA?
Oh, that's it. I like mill. He likes mill. Everybody that we shoot with on the squads like mill, and the reason why we like mill is we can communicate via the same language, and when you convert something over and it turns into a pain in the ass. Actually, did Bill Sweeney have... He had an MOA, didn't he? Yeah.
And he's going to mill.
Yeah, and he's going to mill, actually. But, yeah, he did have an MOA target, and it's kind of tough because, like, you ask him, like, hey, what'd you hold on that? And he says some number that makes no sense to me because I'm in mills and he's in MOA. It makes it tough to try to convert over.
Yeah, so either is my answer. Use either. Use whichever one you're comfortable with. We all learned on MOA.
Yeah.
And 2014 is when I switched over to mill, and I did it kicking and screaming and didn't want to do it, but I tried it, and I couldn't believe that I waited that long to actually do it. If you're going to get in competitive shooting, you do want to speak the same language as everyone else, okay?
Tyler says, damn it, I need a second.
Yeah, I know. So
I need a second job.
So the thing is if you're out there, let's say I don't know this group of 10 guys, and I'm shooting, and they're saying, man, you need to hold 2/10 left. Yeah, you can convert it over, and you can figure out how many MOAs left you need to hold. But it's the language of long-range shooting. It's going to be mills. Now, if you're shooting something like F-class or something like that, where you're going to be laying down and shooting 1,000 yards, and you're not doing anything else. You're just shooting this one distance, and you're trying to be just, okay, here it is, then shoot MOA. That's fine. But if you're getting corrections, second shot corrections, or trying to fix it, fix that second shot to get or that first wrong shot to get a second round impact.
It's called a miss, buddy.
The graduations within the reticle are going to be a lot easier to read than on an MOA. MOAs have huge gaps in them. Just go mill.
Well, and you notice those guys are like ring, trying to get to the right hold too, their dial. Mills are the only way to go.
Okay, I see budget ARs and more expensive ARs come staked from the factory and not on both ends of the price point. Should they all be staked from the factory? Net flooded, I needed to get a little more clarification on this because there are a couple of staked things in an AR. So I just need clarification because you're going to have your carrier on the bolt carrier group. That is staked 99% of the time, but there are companies that don't always stake those. You also have some stakes on the castle nut for putting your stock on or keeping your stock on. So let's get a little more clarification on the question.
Yeah, see, Bill Sweeney, MOA, you have to turn farther and with the dial. Net flutter, let us know. Oh, castle nut.
We'll see you, Joaquin.
I don't stake my castle nuts usually.
Is that what he was talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, castle nut. Yeah, I actually don't like staked castle nuts on my stocks. Because if you want to switch stuff out. Now, what I'll usually do is like on anything that's like Colt. Colt is notorious about always staking their castle nuts. You just take a Dremel, just hit those, take them off, and then I'll replace it with a standard one because I like to be able to switch stuff out. I know the reason why they do it. They don't want it to vibrate loose, and all of a sudden your buffer tube starts to unscrew, and now you're starting to lose your spring off the back. You're losing your plunger, all this other stuff.
And you're complaining.
Yeah.
You're like, this damn thing's falling apart.
Yes, exactly. Let's see here.
I love the ratchet castle nuts for range builds, personally.
Yeah, and I've played around with those. PWS, I think, makes some where there's actually a little detent that ratchets on the backside.
Yeah, and a click as you're turning it. Pins just go with the PWS ratchet. Oh, there you go. Shibal Seki for the win. Just put a little blue Loctite on it.
Tyler Orth says, if you really like a challenge, go mill reticle, not retinal, and MOA, not MPA turrets.
Yeah.
So I actually covered this. One of my most successful videos I ever did, I did in my basement. It took about 10 minutes.
That was because of my thumbnail I made for you.
And it's called Mill versus MOA. You might have seen that. And I talk about some of that, and there it still exists. Manufacturers still make that stupid mill reticle with MOA turrets.
They should all be smacked in the forehead.
Yeah, Colt goes by military standards, and there is a difference. This is why Colts continue to command more money. It's not. Is it the name?
Yes.
There's a lot with the name, but when you actually look at batch testing, and you look at the magnetic particle, you look at the high pressure testing, all of that, Colt's going to go by the standards. Now they can't stay in business; they keep getting bought out and going defunct and this, that, and the other. But they make a great rifle. It's a good rifle.
Funky Town.
Yeah.
Mill reticle, MOA turrets.
I knew what you meant.
We know what you were talking about, buddy. Just remember, mill spec is for people who don't shoot. Lynn Holt. H59 is legit if you're going to hold and not dial. Drew, actually, my last Razor HG Gen 2 4.5 to 27 is the Horus 59. I went with that one. My biggest thing is that I want a reticle that has 2 tenths down the horizontal line. No, the vertical line. This is horizontal. This one.
I want 2 tenths everywhere.
Yeah. The problem is you start getting all that, then you start getting massive Christmas trees with dots and dashes and prancers and vixens and all sorts of crazy stuff happening. That camera looks so unfocused.
Well, I appreciate that, Drew Bradley. He says he actually watched the Mill versus MOA video. It changed a lot of the way he thought. I actually saw up there earlier, I think Bill Sweeney or someone said it's more precise.
Yep, he did say that.
Be careful how you say that. Yes, 1 click is usually going to be equivalent to 0.25 instead of 0.36. But at distance, it really doesn't matter.
And you probably can't shoot it good enough.
Yeah, it depends on what you're doing.
To notice. My rifle B, 26-inch pounds. Yeah, Charles. It's going to be a nice rifle. You're not going to notice any recoil then. What's stock for a 3-gun AR? I like running the fake
Lancer, made by SIG?
Yeah, the SIG, which is a kind of a, I don't know, I wouldn't say a knockoff, but it's the Lancer SIG carbon fiber. 3-gun, what the hell's that anymore?
I was going to say, what's this 3-gun he talks about?
You talk about 3-gun.
That's only for billionaires now.
Where the hell is my 3-gun rifle?
I guess you sold it.
No. Oh, it's upstairs, right? Damn, that's stout, Charles.
Mil per minute of human. Yeah, but see, that's not true, SBR Grendel. The thing is, in PRS, it's the targets are smaller than most of your human targets, considerably smaller.
God, if they were the size of that, this game would be
so easy.
You could do it one-handed.
Yeah, you're typically going to see 1.5 to 2 minute targets. Mil can be just as precise. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with the size of that target.
That's like that full-size man steel at 700 yards at VOD. You can just basically point it, shoot.
I'm not even going to read that out loud. I talk too much. I'm going to shut up. Damn. Well, as long as you're learning something, Land Run 89. I bring the entertainment portion. Hashtag Land Run is still Landrum. Let's see. I found some 6BR brass last weekend. Might build a 6-dasher. Got a Barton barrel sitting on the bench. Yeah, 3 Crowns has got a build coming up. Nice. Do you use the Area 419 weighted rails, Charles? Let's see. Nope, too late, Landron. No backing down on that comment already. Which is fuzzier, Rick's camera or Biden's brain? I don't know. I'm seeing it as well. Think of it as a blurry podcast. There you go. We haven't really showed much tonight anyways. Few knives and then our ugly ass. Could have been the haircut. Maybe it's the haircut that won't let us focus. Maybe before it would zoom in on Ray's gray shagginess and now it just doesn't work. Who knows? Let's see. Not trying to argue with you, Lynn, but it's a commonly misunderstood subject. Let's see. Yeah, but the real question is, it's not supposed to rain this weekend. Are we doing any shooting?
I'm shooting.
What are you shooting?
Some anything that goes boom boom. All right. Well, we're almost at 2 hours. Maybe that's what's happening.
Man,
my computer's telling me you're supposed to be going already. See, I'm assuming there's lead weights or brass that goes in the honeycomb cutouts for Charles. Let's see. I built 6-dash. Finally warming up this week. Yeah, we're supposed to get 60-degree weather, and it's going to be nice. Want to go out to VOD or somewhere?
Yeah, sounds good. Charles Tiffy, I see that what he's saying about the Dasher, and that's what held me off so long from building the Dasher was fireforming the brass. And people were telling me, hey, it's easy to get brass now, that you don't have to fireform. And I ordered it from Altus, and it was already ready to go. So I just loaded it up and shot it. It'd be no different than loading up factory ammo, to get it to your chamber. But it did hold me off for a while. It really did. So hopefully we're going to get some video this weekend.
Charles brought up a good point. We forgot about the quarter challenge thing.
If I'm going to do that, I got to do some reloading tomorrow for sure. All my centerfire rifles are actually torn apart right now. And then I also need to get a video out
we got to do the
for
scope.
the Arc and Scope,
Yeah.
which we have no experience with. I got to figure out what platform we're going to put in that, and then maybe we can get you guys some footage, hopefully, anyway.
Yeah, we'll get some videos out. Has anyone ever...
He says he's not a fan of Alpha Dasher. Okay, good to know. Can you expand on that a little bit? Did you have some issues with it? Does it?
Which question?
Charles Tiffy says he's not a fan of the Alpha Dasher brass.
Oh, got it. Yeah, we probably had some issues. Let's see what it says.
Have you ever punched live primers out on the presses?
Yeah.
I have. Many times. I'm not going to tell you to do it. I'm just saying I have, and I haven't had any issues ever.
I'm a little farther back when I do it.
Yeah, I'm not going to put my eye over the thing.
What the hell? No. My new reticle will have 2/10 mils horizontal and vertical.
Nice, Bill. Nice.
What'd you go with, Bill? You ended up... I think you went with... He had to go with the Hort. I don't know what he went with.
Good question
Tell
from
me what
Andy
you thought.
Amore. Andy Amore. Okay.
Remington or Tika? Oh, shit. I'm going to say Tika. Because I like the Tika.
The case head doesn't hold up well. That's why they have what they call the OCD brass, which is a new offering I haven't tried yet. Okay, well, good to know. Good to know
Let's
for
see
sure.
if that's AC or... Is that ACDC? Oh, it's OCDC. Yeah, I'm saying OCDC. Where's Todd? I don't know where Todd's at. He must be
busy making
kneeling
annealers.
brass, yeah.
Yeah, annealers.
Tika. There you go. There's another Tika. He ordered Kronos. Do you have to have the rifle bedded in a foundation stock?
Well, for everyone that's on here, if you did go to the site and order a knife, I do appreciate it. Like I said, I will get those shipped out tomorrow, and that actually went over a lot faster than I anticipated.
Did you check that thing lately?
No. This only shows me that there was a sale. I don't get more. I have to go to the computer for that.
I'm just wondering if they're all done.
They're done.
Yeah. Daniel fenced hands, pistol grip, saws, broken ear on trigger guard.
Yeah, that's the one that has its contoured in.
Oh, yeah.
Or if you put the trigger guard on backwards.
I did that.
Oh, backwards. So if you guys didn't hear, it happened in the chat the other night. We were putting together some ARs.
It wasn't during the chat, but yeah.
No, it wasn't during the chat. But I looked over at Rick. He was like, I can't get this. You couldn't get a pin in.
No, I couldn't get the pin in.
And I was like, what are you doing? I said, dude, it's backwards. And the problem is it's a blind hole. And he ran a pin in there. So it's not coming back out. And it bottomed out. He basically, the single side with the detent went in there. So don't make that mistake. It does happen.
And it was late.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, that was after our driving experience.
That's right.
That was a fun day.
I do prefer the Tika over a Remington. I will say they do make a nice rifle. Nice action.
That action's smooth as silk.
It is.
You know what else is smooth as silk is the one Matt has. What is that? That's the... on that one, that's the old 308 rifle. Or 6.5 Creedmoor now.
The Stiller.
Stiller.
Yeah, my old rifle.
Yeah, that action.
That thing has
so smooth.
that thing has so much wear on it. That was a Stiller.
Smooth. All right, you guys have a great night. Thanks for showing up.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate everybody showing up and helping with the comments, the questions, except for Land Run 89. Everybody else, have a great night. Just kidding, Land Run. You guys have a great night. See you on the next one.
Thanks.
And Abigail, if you're out there, have a great night.
All right. We'll get more